Hi there, welcome to Carcassonne. It's week 2 of the WTCOC, and already the stakes are quite high for the two teams we will be watching today, as the Czechs have lost their first game versus the USA, and the Netherlands lost versus Japan. So whoever will lose today's match will have quite a tough road ahead to the playoffs, because then you definitely need to win both your last games and hope that other teams play in your favor to win then on tiebreakers. So tough road, but I hope an interesting match today. There's not a lot of history here, so let's hop right into the ELO ratings. And even though there's quite the difference on table 1, I wouldn't expect this to be a sweep by Moya, because Bexe just recently was even rated in the 700s, lower 700s, but still. So even if he'd win 2-0 on table 1, I wouldn't consider this an upset. There should be a close game on tables 2 and 3 as well. I'm not really familiar with Michaels, but I guess they might be able to win versus meeple over people as well. And then there is the table 5, which I will cover mainly. With Posic, who won the bronze medal in this year's MSO Grand Prix and reached the quarterfinal in the Champions League. There he lost 2-3 versus someone you know. So definitely on a roll this year. Let's see if Loose Goose can put the same effort forward they had versus Pyro. They forced the decider, lost that quite big, but still the first two games of that duel were pretty close. So TLDR, let's start. We don't. Isn't it past 7 UTC? Well. So let's check. Marty Party is online, but not in a game right now. Oh, looks like the PGA is acting up again. So then for now, there is a poll on my, I don't know what it's called, community page, maybe on my channel. Click on posts, and there you'll find this poll here. Someone asked whether I would be able to display critical tiles, and that got me thinking, how about displaying all remaining tiles all the time, so from the get-go of any game. I'd like your input, so please go to the channel page, posts, and then vote here. I'd really appreciate your input, and if you want to give your reasoning for that, there's also a comment button. Thank you. And now let's check. And we are running. So Posic, colors, I'd say Czechia blue, Netherlands yellow. Right now it looks like Loose Goose wants to run away with a huge city here, and if they'd succeed, This would be a great start for the Dutch. But Pusic gets the quadruple city to at least prevent the worst from happening. Although yellow just continues, of course, still hopes to get double Doritos here. Now they might just protect this from the attack. Because now to successfully attack, Pusic would need another Dorito as well, or attack from the bottom. So likely a straight and then restriction to at first Dorito, but because there are still 3 out there as we are in the beginning of this game, likely this way, and for example another straight to kill this off. But even if Pusic would succeed, this ruin is at 11 points already, so worthwhile investment of this yellow meeple, no matter the outcome. And here we go. Pusic preparing the attack from the bottom. Doesn't get any help from the deck. And now has to even defend their own city. But taking a loop road, why not? And he doesn't go for this, just takes the 3 points. Because there are still 3 starting tiles left, so even if yellow would block here, there'd be options. And he'd rather close this at once than have to create a huge city here. That's also quite problematic because of this config up top. So yellow closes the city. And that's really problematic for blue here. Behind by 24 points. Not a lot on the scoreboard at all. On the game board and on the scoreboard, of course. Now yellow even gets a monastery. That's tough. That's really tough. And blue definitely needs good tiles here to mount a comeback. And this even allows yellow to play it rather safe. And moves like that from blue really won't help because they don't score, even if you manage to block a meeple of yellow. That actually doesn't do much for you. Risks like this are absolutely necessary in this game for blue. And yellow just has to prevent worst cases, so prevent blue from creating large cities. Try to play defensively, not create any big fields. So for example, normally you would now go here to prevent this kill. But if you do this and get the dagger later on, one of 2 remaining, then you'd automatically create an option for a bigger field. So you could even consider not defending and letting your meeple get killed, and then try to connect to just try to connect to blue here. This, of course, has its risks, but it prevents worst cases. And this move by blue, for example, really isn't that great because this limits the potential of this field here to the top. And in blue's case, I might have even considered going over here just to be that little bit of extra effective, because then you could take a city once you extend your road, even though you'd limit your road to city plus road pieces and, for example, couldn't use the last crossroad to liberate your road meeple here and start another possibly 3-point road. And this is another case of just playing it safe. Goose Goose could have taken the 4 points here, but just binding blue's meeples, not letting them run away or give them any chance to run away with the city, and they would have succeeded to at least take over the city and were 1 piece away from scoring these 16 points, let's say. And this would be a huge benefit for blue here. And now there aren't that many great options. Considering 4 road Doritos have already gone, the defense on the left side limiting this square to the daggers might indeed be the best move here. And blue finds this, goes for this. Still 3 daggers remaining. And once you put the dagger there, I'm quite sure blue will farm this. They just have to risk a lot here. This, of course, is more or less a must, but yellow now gets not the perfect tile. Of course, the perfect tile would have been the 3rd horse. Then this city would be dead instantly. But I guess limiting this to the last horse while also taking 2 points in the process should work out quite nicely for them. I think you can't really hope for a better draw, except the horse, of course. So let's see if yellow goes for this, or if they, for example, go over here and harass blue's road meeple. Else they could go here and meeple another city part. Liberation of their city at the bottom, I wouldn't really consider. Although with only 1 meeple in hand, you even might do this. But I'd prefer this. And they are taking their sweet time. Okay. So, as advertised, blue takes the field upon completion of city and road. Yeah, I didn't like this move, and I don't like this one here. This is more or less a defense on blue's behalf. So this one makes sense if you then use a Dorito, if you get one. But considering 6 are already gone and one splitter as well, plus 5 big city tiles, the odds for yellow to attack over here aren't really that great. And now let's see if blue just snatches this and then hopes to get a field Dorito. I'd say go for it, and blue concurs. Yellow provides a road end for blue, scores 2 points of course, but still yeah, blue likely doing this here. They have to risk a lot in this game. So just limiting this to field Doritos, of which there still are 3 in the deck, would be the normal move here. And now their chances are looking way better than before. So I'd say the rose option on the right side wouldn't have worked out, but it would have limited blue city to a 50-50. All these other blocking options not taken into consideration, so actually definitely lower than 50% completion rate. And now 3 field Doritos left in the game, so blue is very likely, roughly 88%, to complete this city. And take this 22-point city, maybe 24 points, even if the Dorito has a shield on it. So 1 and 3 of the remaining ones has. And then the game is more or less tight. Yellow has monasteries on the right side, sure. And both have fields now. But the scoreboard lead has shrunken to 11 points. Whoa. And blue gets the perfect piece to complete their city. The shielded field Dorito. The best news of this year is that yellow now finally has more than 1 meeple in hand and could now act a bit more and riskier. Blue for sure has to attack the field and does so on the first chance given. Now let's see if yellow counters. And they don't, maybe because there's only 1 crossroad left. Oh, no, there's no crossroad left. This here was the 3rd rose, which I just neglected. Yeah. Still, this one would have been okay, because it scores 6 points, and 6 points with 3 meeples in hand. At least one, maybe two of them more or less easy to liberate. I would have gone for this move. And if you fear the block to a crossroad like this, then you could have used this option. So placed your meeple like blue just did, because there are only 2 starting tiles played so far, and then any block from the left side, which isn't even that likely due to many of the blocking tiles already gone. So actually you'd only have the one road Dorito plus starting tiles, of course, and the third right-handed dagger to block this connection square of blue to the starting tile. But then all regular crossroads are gone, so if yellow would have attacked over here, blue, of course, could have just countered the curve like this. So any connection here would connect both, and then yellow wouldn't have any incentive to connect at all, because, as I had mentioned, this field scores 6 points anyway. So this here is a nice option for blue. They hope to get one of the remaining monasteries. There are still one of each available. There is no vanilla remaining because yellow just got the last one. So any city piece like here would kill yellow city, but also blue's options of successfully attacking the field with this one. Although there would still be a way for this blue meeple over here, which is quite unlikely, but still possible. And now, of course, they need the road monastery and wouldn't mind taking this to connect to the field here. Yellow at least with a bit of insurance against the road monastery, because if blue gets this, they take over this field 3-2 farmers, and then yellow would need a curve up top. There are still 3 curves available, so chances are good that yellow successfully connects there. Blue tries to bolster their farm at the bottom, and yellow just liberated a monastery. They don't take this city here, although there still are city caps out there, and oh well, this was the third dagger, so any road piece over here would have blocked this, but maybe you could have still risked this, because if blue would successfully connect and you miss out on the curves, then you definitely need points here, but if that were the case, so if blue would get the monastery and the curves, let's actually count if I was correct here. Yeah, so 3, then you'd automatically would get the caps due to not that many tiles left in the game. So here we go, blue gets the monastery, but yellow gets one of the curves immediately. So the field will be tied in a few seconds if Loose Goose decides to connect. I'm not sure why they even thought about this. Maybe they thought about meepling the road. They get the dagger and that's game over. Taking a 9-point field. Well, quite nice. Hi Glovier, if you're still there. Yeah, so let's have a look at the other games, and most of them are nearing the end as well. The only exception is, of course, table 1. I'm not really familiar with Bexe apart from a few games we've played some years ago, but I definitely know that Moya is one of the slowest Carcassonne players, at least slowest competitive Carcassonne players to ever have played the game. I think if he has more than 10 seconds left on a clock, something is deeply wrong on that day. So these two exchanging moves here, which don't change anything. So in the end, 15-point win maybe, roughly. No, just 10 points. But really, in the end, after this connection by yellow and no meeple in blue's hands, there wasn't any chance to win this one. So maybe, damn it. So maybe taking this ruin by blue wasn't the best idea here. Table 2 goes to Swallywood. So the second Dutch wins their first game. And now, I'd say let's hope for Pusic to win this one, because I wouldn't mind 5 concurrently running deciders at all. Oh, whoa. Bottom left corner. This move by Swallywood is something else. Only 2 starting tiles left in the game. And the move is great, don't get me wrong, but why do you put your meeple on that city piece? Is that really necessary? Okay, back to Loose Goose versus Pusic. And first monastery draws the first blood. Loose Goose is starting player again. I just hope BGA decides to someday, somehow, finally fix the Swiss system. Then we wouldn't have to talk about unfair starting player advantages anymore. So 3 nice monasteries here, scoring good points, or they very likely will score good points in the end. Only slight problem could be the one up top for yellow, but blue would have to add at least a point to either yellow's city or monastery to attack this, and maybe even more to kill this one here. So quite unlikely. Loose Goose could add points to both of them right now, because even if blue were to restrict this here, all 3 daggers are still in the deck. So finally good news for the Czechs. Borma on table 3 won their game versus Gottfried van Bouillon. On table 5, Meeple over People 1 versus Michaels. So after the first 4 games, it's 3-1 Netherlands. And Bexe and Moya are trying to max their clocks. Still 3 tiles remaining, so 3 moves for Bexe and 2 moves for Moya. And Bexe doesn't move. Wow. Finally takes a few points. Now has 16 seconds left to execute 2 moves. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. They are cutting it close. And they for sure will violate their clock on their last turn. Damn it. Lost by time, on time. By time, on time, I'm not sure. So let's see. Yep, that's just actually with plus 15 points. Oh, why don't you just move a few seconds earlier? Wasted a perfectly good game versus Moya. Yeah, you exceed the time, exactly. So, Moya wins this one. Even though BGA states the opposite. Here we go. Clock violation. I just hope Otto did cover this duel, because I'd like to see his reaction afterwards, or tomorrow maybe. Okay, sorry for the tangent here. Let's get back into this game. Both started to fight for field. Yellow likely will add another farmer now, and they do. So this again looks good for yellow if they can close their city on the right side, else more or less tight. Although there's one big problem here, and that's this square. There's only one starting tile left. So 50-50. If there wouldn't be any more attack coming, but blue sometime down the road will snatch this city cap and then try to kill this square completely. And even if yellow were to get the starting tile and would be able to sometime liberate their monastery and maybe even the road in the end, the wait time would be so long that this move by blue would pay off anyway. So, what are they talking about? Yeah, I clicked with black time in my screen. Yeah. Tough luck. Yep, okay. Looks like Otto is covering that game. And Bexe says, well, it's my own stupid mistake then. And he's exactly right about that. So, people, if we can take one thing away from this evening, it's always have a few seconds extra on your clock, because you never know about the synchronized time BGA will show after you finished your move. So Borma and Gottfried von Bouillon did start their second game as well. By the way, if I forget to open any game, please let me know. Yesterday I forgot one until the game was way in the end game. And nobody said a thing about it. So yeah, I think Glovia's oof in the chat a few minutes ago was about the Bexe situation. And he's quite succinctly saying the right thing. I couldn't have said it better myself. I guess some of these days one of these days I have to actually stream the capture of my webcam as well, because what is this move? Why do you do that? Just to lock this one here? Come on. I mean, go here and then hope to get a Dorito this way, and then Blue City is blocked to a starting tile as well. But this way, basically, okay, now that the last crossroad is gone, you definitely need the road monastery, and this way you at least would have had the chance to close this one here if you get the starting tile and another road, and that is, and else And this one here prevents the road extension. So if you don't get it, or as is usually the case, if you get it, then it's way too late in the game. Then you could have at least added more pieces to your road. And this way you limit this severely. Oh well. So blue will likely sometime go over here and then try to connect this, or if one of the players gets... Okay, now this idea is dead. Thank you very much, Loose Goose. Yeah. Actually, it's a 9-point field for now. Potential still there. Could open this up here, there, at the top. But it's not really great anyway. So right now, with 2 meeples more in hand and 15 plus points on the scoreboard, despite this field for yellow, I definitely favor blue here, and I don't see yellow winning this. Now protecting here, quite likely. Not enough Doritos out there to consider this one with your last meeple, of course. Just killing this cap might be an option. Yellow's problem, or one of yellow's problem rather, is that this city here won't really get closed that fast. There aren't splitters available. And as I said, a lot of Doritos are gone, so only 2 left to connect here, and blue really has no incentive to do so. So yellow would need to do this, and beforehand even close the city, else blue could attack here. So to me this looks like an easy win for blue. Yep, and that's exactly the problem with this field. There is no way for yellow to put the splitter there, and this would be the perfect tile to then expand your field, to add more cities to it. And if you can't put it on your field, maybe putting it here would have been an idea, because then at least you could hope to later, for example, if this were... no, not really. The only option would have been if blue would get the starting tile here or at the bottom, and then later on get the road monastery to connect these two to your field. But of course you'd have to expect attacks like this from blue. This square is dead. All 4 crossroads are gone. But the other one is of course still alive, and because of yellow's city move here. Blue can't even connect now. Has to try and attack yellow's city. Or has he? I'd say it was okay, but it wasn't necessary because now there's the risk of not being able to connect here. Whereas blue could have just used the curve. And everything else apart from yellow's road is more or less equal, so blue would still be ahead by 4. Okay, 3 points. Nope. 4. By 4 points plus 1 meeple extra in hand. Plus a monastery that's still alive because there's still 1 dagger available. And then you could even go here for the double punch when you get the dagger. And now this really is a problem for blue. They have to waste a good piece on an indirect defense just to be able to connect here. And even that defense isn't really that great because there are still a lot of not complete blocking pieces, although there's only this one which completely blocks. And let's see if Loose Goose understands this. They do. So double trouble for blue. This must be hurting quite a lot because now, of course, both these squares are dead, but not just these two. The monastery as well, because yellow's dagger was the last one. So if you don't trust me, have a look for yourself. And now, if yellow manages to close this city, they'd still have a chance here. There's one idea for blue here, which could be quite nice, and that would be getting a vanilla to farm here, but I think all vanillas are gone. Yep, that's the case. So this is dead as well. These two were the last Doritos, if I remember correctly, and I do. But there's still 1 horse remaining, so big city plus road. So Loose Goose now has to go here. And then hope to win the 50-50. Meanwhile, blue connects to the main field. So the main field now is tied, but this farmer of blue scores 3 points. Blue gets the crucial starting tile, which would have liberated yellow's monastery and would have added 4 points to yellow's score. So right now the monasteries are tied. This is +1 yellow, +2 blue, +3 yellow, +8 blue. The good news for blue is that the horses with the shields are already gone. So if yellow manages to get the horse and close their city, they'd score 2 points less. So in this case, 16 points for this city if it's completed successfully. And if we were at +8 blue, this would mean +8 yellow. Not sure what yellow is thinking about. The only option was this one. If there are still pieces like curves available, else they could have done anything with this straight. But now it's game over. Blue got the perfect piece just when they needed it. On table 2, Marty Party Rouillé won the second game versus Swallywood, so this one will need a deciding game. The same as on the feature table here between Posage and Loose Goose. So 9 points in the end, because blue scored 4 points for road and I didn't add yellow's 3 points for the city on the left side. So 8 + 4 - 3 = 9. And let's see who will win the third one here. Why not check out an end game while we are waiting for them to start? So here we are having Michaels versus Meeple over People. And at the bottom, there's a nice blue field, but 3-1 farmers for 12 points. That's a steep price to pay. So this looks like yellow win here, because yellow just invested 1 farmer on this 9-point field, and that's definitely a better ratio than blues at the bottom. And additionally 12 points on the scoreboard. So, well, there is still a chance for blue here, and they even will succeed. They'll get the last cow. But still, I think yellow should win this one. And with this, the Netherlands are on the match scoreboard, so 5 points in the end. Borma and Gottfried van Bouillon are also in the end game. If you only care about Posic and Loose Goose, I'll open that one in the bottom right corner. But for now, let's have a look at this one here. Yep, a nice ruin. There's still anything to connect out there. One cow. No Dorito. So unless I'm mistaken, yellow will connect here and then win the game. But they wouldn't even need to connect actually. But they do. So Borma wins their match versus Gottfried van Bouillon 2-0. So the match scoreboard is tied at 1. And let's hop back into Posic's and Loose Goose's game. So only 3 games still running. Or rather 3 duels. The feature table with a decider, and the same goes for Marty Party Jouet, Marty Party Ouye and Swallywood. They are a tad faster, so I might switch to their end game sometime down the road. For now, I'll just try to keep an eye on that game as well. And what is this here? Brazilians playing. Yeah, farmer. Yep, farmer. Because if you don't, blue will. And this actually isn't without risks here. Big city tile here. Obstruction from the right side, maybe even a kill. And this then would be an immediate win for yellow. And even like this, that's a bit iffy. The best piece to get here would be a vertical splitter, but 2 are already gone. And of course an extender would work as well, but then 2 meeples on this city is a bit of a waste, and you'd be liable to get obstructed at the top, even though all big city tiles are still out there. This is, or rather would be quite cumbersome. So for example now, yeah, it's okay-ish, but In some cases, you lose this one. Blue, of course, gets... is it luck? Well, at least they get a perfect piece here. Now have 4 cows remaining to collect their 2 meeples back. So 93% chance. No big problem really. But definitely not ideal. Yellow couldn't defend blue's attack here. But the best blue could do would be to limit this to the last crossroad. Alas, yellow gets a straight and puts the 3rd meeple on this farm versus 2 by blue. So for now, they'll have the lead and this will be their field until blue gets these 2 back. Or maybe the road meeple on the right side. But in the meantime, yellow will just score uninterrupted. Could now take this road. There are still road ends out there. The aforementioned crossroad, of course, then 2 horses, 2 roses, the quadruple crossroad, and if you don't find anything else, a road monastery, of course, would work as well. That's actually a nice option. So instead of taking the road, yellow just adds an insurance farmer, and there are still 4 straights left to connect this and maybe then take the road. Their only problem now is that they only have 1 meeple in hand. So taking a road willy-nilly and then maybe getting limited here doesn't really fit in their plan. So they need to hope to get this straight before blue gets a meeple back. So they then could put a straight here and just leave this empty and snatch it once they get a road end. This here might look curious if you're at the same time have a city open that could be closed and could prevent a successful attack by your opponent. But in that case, your opponent hadn't any meeples in hand. So going over here would give them a nice option to get a meeple back apart from this one. So yellow deferred this. But now here comes the problem. Do you take this or don't you? And they opt to leave it empty. And yeah, that's a risk you wouldn't have to take if you would have used the splitter here. So a double-edged sword, as is usually the case with moves like that. For the taking the right city because this one is rather unlikely to connect to the field. So in case he'll lose the field in the middle, that's not and at least this city won't be added to it. These here or this, no, these here could have been added, but now that yellow takes this city, the option of putting a road monastery up top to extend the field all the way to the left is gone. Blue with 20 points behind decides to take the 11-point city and just risk it. They get punished immediately, but still have 1 rose left to liberate this. On table 1, Baxe just won the second game, this time with 1.5 minutes left on their clock. Moya at 15 seconds. So that game is tied as well. And could quite likely decide the outcome of this match, depending, of course, on the featured duel and the game between Marty Party and Swallywood. So this here right now looks like a pretty sure win for yellow. They got the first 2 cows. The cows blue desperately needs to have any hope of competing here. And they get the third one. So now blue's goal has to be to tie the main field, because right now this is at 21 points and is definitely the game deciding feature. So let's take a quick look at Marty Party's game. I'll open Posic and Loose Goose in the bottom right corner for now. This looks like it's a close affair as well, although, well, what about this? Two roses gone, so there's still an option for yellow to connect here to the main field. Both road monasteries gone, so this option doesn't work. There might be a way to attack here. There is the last rose. So this one is dead. And then Marty will win this. So let's get back to our main game. If you're curious about Marty, bottom left corner. So the scoreboard is almost tied now. Blue has this road. And if they manage to tie the main field, they'd be ahead here. But how to add 2 farmers? And they go for the scoring route. Well, who can fault them? There are still 3 monasteries out there. Getting one, adding another. Liberating them. Or at least one. Well, that would score 16 points. But now that yellow has added an 8th city to the field, I think outscoring won't work. But you can't attack really. You need to attack successfully, of course, and attack again to get the 4th meeple on the field. But for the 4th meeple, you need this one back beforehand, and that's just, I think that's too much to ask for. Yeah. So this looks like a Dutch win. And then we'd have the decider between Moya and Bexe. So let's take a look at their clocks. So roughly 24 to 25 minutes of Carcassonne still. Good news for all of us. Yep, in the end, Marty Party won by 27 points. Puts Czechia ahead by 2-1. But the equalizer will follow soon once this game ends here. By the way, this square is dead. All 3 daggers are gone. I'm not sure if I have already mentioned that. So blue's road is capped at 11 points. And there's no option, for example, to put the road monastery here and then the dagger to expand, or vice versa, attack the field. Loose goose could go here to prevent blue from liberating their monastery. But they just take a few points here. I would have preferred this move, because that more or less would have been the final nail in the coffin. All vanilla caps are gone, and things like this wouldn't have worked for blue anymore. Actually, is there still a splitter available? No, there isn't. Actually, this here would have been a kill of blue's monastery, because there's only one field Dorito left. No vanilla, no splitter. So blue couldn't have liberated the road monastery. So this one here, slight miss by yellow, but in the end, it quite likely won't matter at all. As long as they don't get any idea here of meepling or using the road monastery there in the highlighted place. I hope they aren't greedy, because taking the 3 points would have also been a huge mistake. Just get 2 points somewhere and be happy. Well, what shall it be, yellow? Loss on time? Well, why? Why? With 3 moves remaining, a 6-point field. Why take a 7-point monastery? Doesn't make any sense to me, but well. There's no chance for blue here. Would have needed a cow way earlier, and in the end, at least 1 meeple more. This way, actually, the deciding factor was yellow's 4th farmer, because this really disincentivized blue from attacking the field again and protected it so much that there actually was no real chance for blue to tie it. And even if they would have tied it, yellow would have just scored other features and then won just by points. So this is it. 2-all, and we are left with only 1 game running. If BGA permits this. Thank you. This feature looks great for yellow. They'll win the mini battle. They already have won the mini battle, because the only piece that could be added to blue's parts of this city is of course a starting tile, and due to the quadruple city tile being on the right side, it can't be cloned and added in the hole marked with the skull and crossbones. So bottom line right now, plus 5 points yellow. Blue defended this city just now. Hopes to get one of the 2 remaining starting tiles to close this, and then their chances would be quite nice. I switched colors, I'm sorry, but Czechia, blue, the Netherlands, yellow. So yellow is Bexy, blue is Moya. If they get the starting tile soon or soonish, chances for yellow would look quite nice because there is a blocked blue road meeple here. And then with a meeple majority, yellow should be able to overcome the deficit by this ruin on the right side. If they aren't able to liberate this city meeple or their road meeple up top, for example, there are still 3 crossroads remaining. Then it looks quite sad because blue's scoreboard lead plus these points here minus all the features on the board, so blue's roughly at plus 10. And with only 1 meeple in hand, it's pretty tough to outscore your opponent if they have 2. You can only go for quick points. Everything else would be quite risky. Whereas blue can do stuff like this. Just putting another monastery there, even though a road piece like this would limit the monastery to a 50-50. 2 of the right-handed daggers are already gone. So blue at least prevents that scenario. But there is still an attacking option from the top. And yellow now might go for this, but doesn't do that much. The road at the bottom is under fire as well. You can only hope to get pieces to immediately close these road ends. So yellow opted to restrict their road to the crossroad and hope to liberate this quite fast. They get the tile they need by drawing the starting tile, and now let's see if they will be able to mount a comeback here or if the Czechs in form of Moya are able to win this match and more or less force a decider versus Japan, because I think the 5th team in this group should be Malaysia. Let me quickly check off screen. Yep, it's Malaysia. And I would expect Japan, USA, and our 2 protagonists today to beat Malaysia. So if we neglect any difference in tiebreakers versus the Asian team, the Czechs, as I said in the beginning, would then have to win their game versus Japan as well. Yeah, Bexy. What are you gonna do? I guess volatility it is. There are still vanilla caps out there. 3. So go for it. Hope to get another road and on the right side. Maybe even, well, the only road and would be the horse. And if you get the horse, you could even hope to get a dagger to attack this ruin. Both diagonal splitters are gone, so going over here, then attack this wouldn't really work. But it looks like all vertical splitters are still out there, so this here is a must for yellow once they get one. Even if it would be their last meeple. 11 points over here. Yeah, well, but sadly Moya gets the first vertical splitter. Not sure if they will put it here. But with 4 road Doritos and 2 horses gone, they might. Because then if they go here, an attack by yellow like this would only have 2 pieces to connect and would be blockable. Instead, of course, well, they go the easy route, which I should have seen. Just prevent any shenanigans. Will likely score this, but then there are 2 options to attack the ruin. Even though the top one only has a 50-50 chance because there's only 1 field Dorito still available. And I guess Moya will just put a curve here to more or less. Oh no, it's not the dagger in yellow's coffin per se, because there are still left-handed daggers out there. So yellow could even continue with their road, but this ruin would be closed once more or less anything is placed over here. Yeah, for example, like this. But maybe even better this way. Then yellow can't immediately close this road, and there would only be the last left-handed dagger left to continue their road. And would you look at that? They even get it immediately. Will now be attacked by blue, quite likely. A lot of crossroads are gone. There's only 1 left. So the attack, definitely a good one. Still 2 curves left. And with 16 points on the scoreboard, plus these, what was it? Overall plus 12 or so. Let's count plus 11. So 16 plus 11, 27. Well, yellow definitely needs the crossroad over here. Maybe rather like this. And would appreciate a timely vanilla here. Then maybe the last starting tile to snatch this road, and then later on the 9-point field. And this could work out for yellow to get back into this here. One problem though is that blue would be still able and even quite likely to liberate their monastery up top, because blue has no meeple in hand. Yellow can do stuff like this and could now kill blue's monastery. Let's see if they do, or if they'd rather try to build up a larger city. The problem with this city is you need 2 caps to close it. And they go for this here, which actually would still work. There's only one road Dorito left. And Moya gets it, so I'm undecided whether this actually was the best move. But with only a few tiles remaining, it's likely it actually was the best option. And now Bergse gets the crossroad, but just a move too late. So if you listen closely, you can hear the fat lady warming up. And it's definitely not a Dutch hymn she's singing. Yeah. Bit anticlimactic, this end. I would have hoped for a way closer game. And I'm really not one to jazz up decided games. I'm sorry, but that's just not me. So let me again. Sorry, I was disturbed. So let me again point out that on the YouTube channel page in the posts tab, I have created a poll and I would really like your input. Whether you'd prefer displaying all remaining tiles on stream. So if you're familiar with David EGX / Estroncio, I think Carcassonne reviewer that would display the tiles for replays in the left corner, for example, or SpitKey's browser extension, which I think is only available for Chrome right now, then you know what I have in mind. There are upsides, there are downsides. It's more or less a personal preference, and I'd be curious about your take. So if you would kindly vote there, I'd appreciate that. And if you want to chime in, just leave a comment there. This may swing my decision the one or the other way. So, and finally, this one is done. Lopsided score in the end. We are taking this one by 30 points. I'd guess, well, I can just look here, 31 points. Yeah. If it weren't for Bex's stupid mistake, unquote, the result could have been different. You never know if the second game will run the same way, of course. But still, there is no damn reason to lose a game on time if you have 15 minutes to start. So let's take a look at the group standings. Netherlands with their second loss. It's not all over in this group, of course. They could still, in theory, manage to take the second place by winning versus the USA and Malaysia, and then hoping, for example, that Japan beats everyone and that there are tiebreakers in the comparison between Czech Republic, USA, and Netherlands would be the best. So, for example, let's consider Japan beats everyone 5-0. USA, Czech Republic, Netherlands beat Malaysia 5-0 as well. Malaysia therefore would be fifth, and Czech Republic has won 3-2 today, so 5-5 in the 2 games versus USA and Netherlands. The Netherlands, let's say, would win 4-1 versus the United States, so they would have 6-4 dual wins. And the USA would have 4-6, and in that case, 6 like this. In that case, the Netherlands would take the second place and qualify for the playoffs. That isn't really that unlikely, actually. The main problem would be winning 4-1 versus the USA. They have a strong team this year, but I wouldn't put it past the Dutch to successfully manage that feat. But we'll see about that later on. Let's actually check when these two will be playing. Group E, that is so in week 4. Until then, only games with strong favorites on the schedule. Although with Moya and Posic in their ranks, the Czechs are definitely able to push Japan to the brink or even win versus Japan, and that would be a huge feat for the Czech Republic here. But we'll see about that in the next week. Malaysia versus United States, of course, should go to the USA. Anything but a decisive win by them would really surprise me. For now, let's take a look at the calendar, and there is no games scheduled for tomorrow, and I wouldn't expect Vietnam, Argentina, which is the only one that has no dates set as of yet, to be scheduled for tomorrow. So the next game quite likely will be Tunisia versus Croatia on Friday, at least Friday UTC. I might stream that, I'm not sure. And then on the weekend we'll see. There's of course loads of action. The one I'd be most interested in would be Poland versus RCP, because this one affects my team, Team Germany, as well. What else is out there? Chile, Greece, Latvia, Taiwan, Mexico, Portugal. The Australians taking another drubbing, this time on the hands of China. Romania should definitely beat Lithuania. Hungary, Hong Kong. Well, also an interesting match. Ukraine, Thailand as well. Italy, Uruguay, well, 4-1. Brazil, Spain, interesting as well. Well, with their young guns, I don't expect the Brazilian to win this. I'd favor Spain here. So overall, more or less, from with a few exceptions, quite interesting games. Only problem is that they are scheduled without breaks, and so it's quite likely, if you want to view them all, you'd have to view at least 2 streams concurrently. Well, I for one will quite likely watch the streams a day or 2 later, and will decide which one to stream on Friday or early Saturday. So just subscribe if you want to get notified. Hit the bell icon. Else, of course, keep an eye on the streaming page of the WTCOC or on Carcassonne.gg. So that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you on one of my next streams. Bye bye.